Hello there people of the internet, today we're going to talk about the cut content of Hidden and Dangerous 2. It's a game that is set in World War II where you play in a first and third person view. It's a tactical game where you can decide for yourself on how to deal with the objectives. You know what, let's get into it by starting the game. Oh no, wait, before we start to go into the game, I want to talk about the original intention that the developers had. The game was supposed to be a lot more story intensive. The developers argued that, like in Hidden Dangerous 1, the player had no connection to a soldier. If one dies, you wouldn't really care and you can just replace the soldier in the next mission. They wanted to make the game more story driven, a story with leading and supporting characters. Not much is known about the story, but there supposedly was going to be a character named Gary, and he had a rival called Otto. Gary was going to be like a James Bond figure, but placed in the World War II setting, a specialized commando. On their old and funky 2001 website, found on the Internet Archive, you can also find characters named Scaredman or Scarredman, their English wasn't the best, and a man called C and a woman called Deborah. Deborah was probably transformed into Agent Salter from the Elves 2 mission. Unfortunately, nothing was done with these characters and it never came to light. Hidden and Dangerous 2 was first developed on the Hidden and Dangerous 1 Insanity engine. Pre-release images clearly show this. After a while they figured out that they needed something more powerful, so they developed the LS3D engine and Hidden and Dangerous 2 was then ported to it. The game was pretty far in development already at the time, as you can see in the screenshots. The same thing happened to Mafia 1, but I guess that's a story for a different time. They wanted to release the game on the Xbox and the PlayStation 2, but that ended up not happening. Probably due to hardware limitations and the game being quite complicated for a controller only. Now when we are talking about the gameplay itself, they wanted to make the game a lot more realistic than it already is. Just take a look at this. Yeah, not this one. This should be the right one. Yeah, look at this. This is realistic. Okay. Alright, enough shenanigans, let's get to it. Here you can see a water canteen on the hips of one of the soldiers. They wanted to make it so realistic that you actually had to drink from the water canteen in these desert missions. It did get implemented because it's probably not very practical to use. There are more items that didn't end up in the game. At the bottom you can see the water canteen image, and at left top you can see an image of a flashlight, which is interesting because at one point I guess they were considering to implement a flashlight. There's also a chocolate bar, a cigar, a hammer, a things, a tools and a gas image, which I do not really know what they're used for. If you do know, leave a comment down below. There are also a few unused weapons like the sawn-off, a Benelli shotgun and a flamethrower for the English and German. This is also an unused image, I'll let you guess what it's used for. The developers were very ambitious for this game and they wanted you to be able to fly planes. Here's an early image of that, and at the left bottom you can see a attitude indicator, also known as a horizon simulator. There are also a few planes that were fully modeled but never used. Like this big behemoth of a German transport plane. And here is an early prototype of a German helicopter. There's also an unused crawling animation. There are 3 speeds at which you can move while crawling. But there might have been a 4th, this one. There also used to be some differences in the tactical map. The tactical map is where you can control your soldiers. You can make them walk, run, sprint to a place. You can let them pick up an object or go through a door, get in a car or shoot a soldier. At some point in the development there was a very different tactical map. It used to be more like the Hidden and Dangerous 1 version. As you can see in this screenshot, you can see the tactical map at the right part. It seems to be split to the gameplay and the map itself. At this screenshot you can see a soldier trying to trap a door. It seems that was a feature in the development phase. Not sure how it would have worked, but I guess you could trap a door or something, lure the enemy out, and when the enemy uses the door, it explodes. Now when we're talking about missions, at one point there would have been a map called Field Airport, as you can see here on their old website. And here it is in a close-up of that screenshot. There was also supposed to be a campaign called England, and here are some screenshots of that. As you can see, these missions were pretty far in their development. Too bad they scrapped it. There is also a multiplayer map that is called Poland, but when you look at the files internally, you can see that it is called London Multiplayer. So I guess at one point this map belonged to an English campaign or an English mission. Also in the first mission of the campaign, the Arctic they call it, there was supposed to be a warehouse at the end. Also there was a little bridge at the entrance. In the final version there is no warehouse, but there is a dock. Personally, I would love to see the pre-release version. Looks awesome. For the first mission of the Saber Squadron expansion, there are 2 placeholder videos for the generator explosion and the oil tanks explosion. I guess at one point they wanted to make a video about this too. There is also a completely unused scripts folder named Castle 2. It's probably an alternative to the Alps 2 mission where you had to contact Agent Salter. And I guess one of the developers that wrote that script really love Aika Sumeragi, which is a Japanese anime. And with that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this video about the cut content of Hidden and Dangerous 2. If I forgot something, please let me know and I'll make a part 2. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.